Welcome to part 2 of our last video. I hope you understood whatever it was I was taught there, and please make sure to pay attention to this one. So we've done the first topic and the second topic. Now we're moving on to decimal places. Okay. Decimal places. Now decimal places refer to the number of digits after the decimal point. So if you see something like 4.56789 and they said round this number, let me just write this example. Round this number to 2 dp, that's 2 decimal points. You're going to count after the decimal point. You're not going to consider this number 4 here to be part of the decimal point. Okay, so I'm just going to count after the decimal point. You're not going to consider 4 to be part of this decimal point. So 2 decimal points refer to, follow the cursor. This is the first decimal point, and this is the second decimal point. 5 and 6 are those 2 decimal points. Now, this is 2 decimal points. Now we're going to look at it. We're going to have a 4.56, right? Now we need to look at the number after the 6. And the number after the 6 is 7. And 7 is greater than 5, so we're going to round it up to 1 and add it to the 6. So instead of 4.56, this becomes 4.57. Okay, let's take a look at our second example, which is 6.2234. And we're asked to round this number to 2 decimal points. Okay, now how do we go about it? Remember, we start counting the decimal points after the decimal over here, this point here. So 6 is not going to be part. We're going to start counting after the decimal point. So if we're asked to round this number to 2 decimal points, that means 2 and 3 are the decimal points. So we're going to have like 6.23. Now we need to look at the number after the 3, which is what? 4. Is 4 greater than 5 or less than 5? It's less than 5. So we're not going to do anything. We're just going to leave our number like this because it's not up to 5. So we cannot round it up to 1 and add it to the 3, because that would give us 6.24 instead of 6.23. So this is our final answer for both these questions. Okay, so let me actually give you guys some exercises on this round. You can solve it and drop your answer in the comment section. I would respond to it. So round 7.846 to 2 dp and round 0.1349 to 3 decimal points. Okay, so these are your exercises. Yeah. Okay, so we're done with the third topic. We're moving on to percentage errors. This is an interesting topic, so stay tuned. Percentage errors. They show how much an approximation differs from the exact value. So you can imagine percentage errors. No, let me just use this. So percentage errors. This is the percentage sign. So wherever you see this, just now I'm referring to percentage. So percentage errors. So what did I say the description is, or definition of percentage errors? They basically show how much an approximation differs from the exact value, like the amount of difference between the actual value and the approximation that a human made based on their own ideas. It's not the actual value. Okay, so this is the formula you would use. You have the error, all right, error, sorry, error over the actual value. actual, just forgive my handwriting, actual value multiplied by 100%. Okay, I'll just try to clean this off. You can speed this part up a bit. Okay, so this is the formula for percentage errors, the error over the actual value multiplied by 100%. Now, your next question should be, how do we actually determine the value for the error? And this is actually very simple. The formula for error is just very simply error is equal to the actual value subtracted, we subtract the approximate value from the actual value. So, okay, just speed this up a bit. Okay, actual value minus approximate value. So let's say, let's give our, let's just have some mock value. So let's say actual value is equal to 50 and the approximate value is equal to, let's say, 48. Okay, so that would mean that our error, the error value is going to be 50 minus what? 48, and that's going to give us what? 2. Now we're just going to have to fill it into this formula here. So let me just write our value for our error, which is 2, and then okay. So percentage error for this question is going to be the error, which we got to be 2, over the actual value, which we got to be 50, multiplied by 100%. So can actually solve this without using a calculator. So 0 cancel 0, 5 here will give you 1, and then 5 in 10 will give you 2. So 2 times 2 is going to give you 4. And then percentage, that is 4%. So our percentage error is 4%. So let me give you an exercise to try. So try this out and drop your answers in the comment section, or do as you like actually. So our next topic is simple interest. Simple interest. Okay, we haven't wiped this up. Now, simple interest is the interest calculated only on the principal, that is the uh, original money you were given. So, principal is not like the principal of a school or something. It's just like the original amount of money that was borrowed or was invested. So you know how in banks they have like, if you keep your money inside this account for like a year, at the end of the year, your money should have increased by 50,000 because there's a monthly interest of maybe an additional 10,000 every month or something, or 5,000 every month. So that is what interest is. Interest is the interest calculated only on the principal, only on the original amount of money that was borrowed or was invested or was stated in the question. So the formula for simple interest is something like this. I, which is our interest or simple interest, you can have I or some textbooks say SI, is equal to PRT. P stands for principal, R stands for rate, and T stands for times, all over 100. So simple interest is actually quite simple. So if we were given our principal to be 5,000 naira as our principal, okay, let me actually spell it out for you guys. PRINCIPAL. So yeah, principal. So principal was given to be 5,000. Our rate is given to be 10%, and time, let's say 2 years. Okay, so very simple. We just input our values into the equation. So 5,000 multiplied by. So now you're seeing where the 100 is coming from. It's coming from the rate percentage. Instead of saying, um, instead of just um, writing the 100 up, we just decided, okay, let's multiply this and divide it by 100. So 5,000 multiplied by 10 multiplied by the time, which is what, 2 years, all over 100. So we can solve this ourselves. That's the use of a calculator. 0 will count to 0, and the second 0 will count to this 0. So we're left with 500 multiplied by 2, and that's going to give us 1,000. So the interest in this kind of setting, or under this kind of instructions we're given, which is principal to be 5,000, rates to be 10%, and time to be 2 years, the interest gained would be 1,000 naira. Now, if they ask us for the total amount is given to be principal plus interest. So that's just going to be 5k plus 1k, and that will give you 6,000 naira. And this is not exactly part of what I wanted to teach today, but just in case, let me give you the formula for compound interest. Compound compound interest. Okay. Compound interest. So compound interest is given to be, okay, actually, So compound interest, what is compound interest? Compound interest is interest that is calculated on the principal and the interest that was already added. Notice the difference. Simple interest was just the interest calculated on only the principal. But now compound interest is calculated based on both the principal and the interest that was already added. So the formula for compound interest is A, which is the total amount, is equal to P, which is the principal, then 1 plus R over 100 raised to the power of n. So A is the um, amount, P is principal amount, like total amount, P is principal, R is rate, and n is the number of years. So now compound interest will now be given to you as amount subtracted by the principal. So this is the actual formula for compound interest. Okay, so let's actually solve an example and then I'll give you guys an exercise to solve by yourselves. Okay, so find the compound interest on 5,000 naira, which is our principal, 5,000 at 10% per annum. 10% is our rates, and for 2 years. So n is going to be 2 years. So I'm first going to solve, the amount. So we're going to use this formula. Keep a good eye on this because I'm not rewriting it again. So we're going to have the amount is equal to 5,000 naira, the principal, 5,000, then 1 plus the rate, which is 10, all over 100 raised to the power of 2. Don't forget the n. So this is going to be 5,000. So 10 over 100 is going to have 10. 0 cancel 0, so 1 over 10. Okay, so 5,000. Okay, so 1 plus 1 over 10 will give you 1.1. So we're going to have 1.1 here. And that's going to be squared. So that's going to be 5,000 times 1.1 to the power of 2. Remember bod mass, just in case you're confused as to which one you should do first. Bod mass. And in case you're not familiar with what bod mass is, B stands for bracket, O stands for of, which is basically like times, like if you have 1 over 2 of 8. Let me write this down again. 1 over 2 of 8. Yeah, so that's 1 over 2 times 8. That's basically what it means. That's what O stands for. D stands for division, M stands for multiplication, A for addition, S for subtraction. So we have the bracket starting first, so we're going to solve what's in the bracket first before we then multiply it by 5,000. So the final answer will then become 5,000 times 1.1 square, so That will give you 5,000. 5,000 multiplied by 1.21. Remember, we follow this formula. So this will give you 6,050 naira. 6,050. So then add an error. Okay, so remember that we just calculated the amounts. We need to actually calculate the com- compound interest. So compound interest is amount subtracted by principal. So we're going to have 6,050 naira multiplied by 5,000 subtracted by 5,000, and that will give you 1,050 naira to be the compound interest. Okay, so that's all about compound interest, and thank you very much for watching this video. In the next class, we will the next class we're going to continue with the next topics. So we stopped at simple interest and compound interest. So it's mainly these three to complete in the next video. Thank you for watching.